Hello, hello, and welcome to Digital Marketing This Week. It is episode number 44, A Marketer's Guide to List Building. It's brought to you, of course, by Seriously Simple Marketing over at seriouslysimplemarketing.com. My name is Chris Mercer. I'm all about analytics and optimization, content development over at Seriously Simple Marketing, and of course, the host of Digital Marketing This Week, and just call me Mercer. Okay, so if you are joining us on a recording or a replay on YouTube or a podcast or something like that, and you're interested in joining the Insiders Club, there actually is completely free, and we have a little Q&A that we do with the insiders, and we send out a full replay with that Q&A to everybody. Again, completely free. Just go over to seriouslysimplemarketing.com, and you'll see plenty of ways to do that. Now, this week's topic, it's all about list building. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Of course, we start with the goal. The goal is to get one idea, to act on that one idea, and then to repeat the process. So if you're just getting started with a list, or maybe you see a particular tool where you've got a list, but you figure, oh, maybe this tool can help me out. This is definitely something to just take that one idea, take action on it, and then come back, watch the recording later, pick up something else, and kind of build from there. All right, now why should you care about today? Well, because we're going to be talking about tips on how you can build a list and get started, some of the tools and plugins that I think will help, and a sneaky little trick that I think you should be using specifically around list building. And of course, maybe you pick up a couple more things. So without further ado, let's get started. It's a marketer's guide to list building. All right, so step one, when it comes to list building, you've got to consider your offer. Now that can include very simple things, right? It doesn't have to be the perfect offer. Offers can get better. You can split test offers. We recommend that you do because you never know. But the offer in this case can be something as simple as, hey, get updates to our blog. Now that used to be like the old newsletter thing, like, oh, subscribe to my newsletter. And then you could, if you had something like Aweber, you could automatically have Aweber send out a little notice with the most recent blog posts based on maybe an RSS feed that you had set up through WordPress or something like that. And you can still do things like that. So it is better to have something than nothing. So even if it's something as simple as, hey, just subscribe to get my blog updates. Some people will be interested in doing that. It's very easy to set up, right? It's very easy to fulfill, which is great because it doesn't really require you to create any more content. So if you're just thinking, okay, I'm just getting started, what do I do? Your first step, man, just do something around blog updates. Keep it easy, keep it simple. All right, now something else you could do is the PDF creations, right? So that's where we're starting to get a little bit of these on our end. So we've got a PDF guide to set up Google Analytics goals. We're gonna have one coming out on tagging traffic. We'll have one on Tag Manager. So we'll have all these little PDFs that people can sign up for and download, and we'll split test those specific offers on with the various plugins we'll talk about in just a second here. But that's sort of something that, if you have the ability to create PDFs, you can. Now, how do you do this very simply? Create a PDF of your blog post. I know it sounds kind of way simple, and it sounds like, well, who would want that? But there are lots of people who want to have kind of a printed copy of things, right? So you'll go through and you see a really great blog post, and if you could have a nice formatted PDF, doesn't have a bunch of the ads and doesn't have all the distractions of the internet, but it's like, hey, download this, to your Kindle or whatever. You can do things like that very, very simply. Just take that text, put it into Word, put a couple images on there, format it, make it a PDF. There's also lots of PDF creators where you can just take the web page and turn it into a PDF, ads and all. Doesn't have to be perfect again, just has to be something that's valuable to the market. That's all we're talking about here. Now you can also do, and I'm putting a bunch of different ones here, you can do MP3 audios, like, hey, you reading the blog post, right? That's useful because sometimes, especially, Gary Vaynerchuk is kind of famous for this. He'll go through his ebooks. This is why I actually like his ebook versions better than I like his books, the actual books, because in the ebooks, not only is he sort of narrating his own book, but he'll stop and he'll go off script. And he'll sort of riff on some stuff, which is great because it's like all this extra bonus stuff that you would not normally get. So, and you hear his inflection and everything else of, sort of what's important and what's not. And what's kind of cool about doing that with a blog post is you can do an MP3 of the blog post. You're just reading the blog post, have that as an offer. Like, hey, if you want to get the MP3 bonus, right? Or to get a list of my MP3s, maybe it's just could it just be a list? Could just be an email list where you audit, you do all the reading of the blog post and you've got those MP3s and you send out an email with the MP3 links. It could be something as simple as that. It could be something where you create a member site of some sort. We use Digital Access Pass, which is great. So we use Digital Access Pass for our member sites. And then, we'll go through and we'll create maybe a free membership platform where you get access to a certain video or a certain series of videos. We're actually going to be building out one of those for goals, right? So we'll do a free kind of like, hey, here's how to set goals, the Google Analytics video course. And then, that is a PDF it's a free membership opt-in, but then we'll use that and upsell ideally into something like the Seriously Simple Analytics course, right? So have that. You could also do videos just by themselves. So if you have a video, and again, this could be something as simple as you create slides that are based on the blog post, and then you have those slides and you're just sort of going through the PowerPoint presentation, narrating as you go, talking about whatever the topic was. And you can make a video, put it on a page like that, and have somebody opt in for that, and then just make the thank you page that video page. Right? So what if somebody shares it? Who cares? Let them share it. Let them take the link. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. Your job is to get that email and start building the list. And you do that by offering something of value, and something as simple as a video could be that. Now, this is where I think a lot of people get caught up. I myself have gotten caught up in doing things like this, where I get this paralysis by analysis. And I'm like, oh, what should my offer be? Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. I'm not sure. Let me ask a friend. Let me see what their ideas were. And then you ask another friend, and they have completely different ideas that are contradictory. You have no idea what you're supposed to do, and then you sort of sit back and wait. Meanwhile, nobody can actually join the list, right? There is no list building going on. So make sure that you have something. Something is much, much better than nothing, right? That's all it really comes down to, the offer. Have it something of value. Try it. If you think it's a bad idea, or sorry, if you think it's a good idea, but you're not sure it might be a bad idea, try it. Your market will tell you. And then you split test from there. Once you have something that's set up, you go, great. Now I've got some data. You know, turns out this one particular opt-in for blog posts on PDF got a 10% opt-in, and you know, so that was okay. And then I did another one where it was a video presentation or a free membership, you know, to like a trial level of my program or service, whatever it happens to be. That was a 30% opt-in. Okay, now you know the market likes those free memberships. Let's go ahead and keep that stuff coming. Right, so that's all you need to do. Start with something, measure it, track it using something like Google Analytics, and once you have that data, then you can start to iterate from there. All right, next up, the form. You've got to have the mechanics, right? So now how do you do that? You can do that very cheaply with Aweber or MailChimp. You know, we started with Aweber. We like Aweber a lot. MailChimp is also good, but you know, between the two, we prefer Aweber. There's tons of integrations with it, and we're just more familiar with it. There are lots of people that use MailChimp that are successful, so feel free to use that as well, whichever one you like better. I would just sort of open an account with both and try them out just to kind of see. Especially with MailChimp, because it's initially free. So you can kind of get an idea of the user interface and if it's something that you might like a little bit more. Really, ultimately, what I think you should move into, and this is once you've sort of built up, is something like an Infusionsoft or Entreport. We use Infusionsoft, so we're actually huge fans of Infusionsoft. The campaign builder is phenomenal. It's like it's all graphics and visual, and it's like building a flow chart of everything, and then you sort of just publish it like you do with a WordPress page, and then the campaign is live and everything starts working, and you can see who is in different pieces and parts of the funnel and what's happening, and it's completely automated. So between the two of those, I like Infusionsoft a whole lot more, a lot more. But you know, again, something does require a little more financing, right? So Infusionsoft is going to be a couple $100 a month, whereas something like Aweber might be, you know, less than 20, depending where you're starting out. So depending where you are is kind of what you want to do. Now with Infusionsoft, you do have additional options as far as tagging. So you can tag different interests based on how people click on their links and take different actions all of a sudden. If you know that somebody was interested in a particular topic, like maybe WordPress security, and now you can create a segmented sort of email series all about WordPress security, you know, and you can do things like that automated with Infusionsoft. It's a little more difficult with things like Aweber. All right, so now let's assume you've got the forms all set up, the web form, and now you want to go ahead and do the ask, right? How do you ask? Well, you want to use it through a pop-up. Now I know there's a whole thing, oh my God, pop-ups, people hate pop-ups. People will respond to pop-ups. They might hate them, but part of that is just because the way that people do them. So there's a lot of pop-ups that are just very intrusive. You come to the site and then you give about 4 seconds to actually start to get into the article, and right about when you're interested in the post, the pop-up happens and you're like, okay, I don't even know if I want to give you my information because I don't even know if you're valuable at all yet, right? You haven't given me any time. So when you're setting up your pop-ups, it's not so much the pop-up itself, it's how the pop-up occurs. If it's a relevant pop-up, if it offers value, if it pops up at an opportune time, and again, all of these might be a little different for everybody. So you test this stuff, but think about that. It's not the pop-up mechanism that's the problem. It's how that mechanism is implemented. That's what causes everybody to freak out, because people don't like them because they interrupt the flow. But if they're not interrupting the flow, if it's kind of like, hey, as you go down the page, maybe halfway down, a pop-up occurs, right? That could be a trigger. There's pop-ups that will do that. You could have a pop-up that will trigger for, let's go back to the content where we're talking about the offer. Maybe you've got a blog post on WordPress security, and then you've got a little checklist. Hey, here's a PDF checklist of 10 steps that you've got to take to make sure you secure your WordPress site. That could pop up as a pop-up toward the bottom, right? So you can do a double, a little two-step opt-in. So where it's like, it might say at the very bottom of that blog post, click here to get our free 10-step checklist to WordPress, to securing a WordPress website. You click on that and there's the pop-up that happens, right? So there's pop-ups that can be triggered in lots and lots of different ways. The mechanism isn't the problem, right? So don't be afraid of pop-ups. So it was kind of the moral of that story, and use them. The trick is figuring out what the best way is for your market to integrate them. Now, the other things you can do with the sidebars, right? So you have a little standard web form in the sidebar. You can keep those. We do get those on occasion. They, by and large, do not convert anywhere on the radar compared to a pop-up. So sidebars will be there. You'll get a few people, but mostly it'll be your pop-ups that are going to be causing that. And the post-specific offers here. Now that is, I just actually use an example of that. So like if you're going down to a post about WordPress security and then there's a 10-step checklist on securing a WordPress website PDF, that's a very specific offer that's specific to that post, right? To that content. Those work really, really well. So if you can create those, like maybe we'll do posts around, maybe there's different categories. Maybe you do one about WordPress design. You've got one about WordPress security. You've got one about you know, creating a membership site, right? Categories around membership sites in WordPress, maybe that's your thing. And you could do a specific offer that's about membership sites, it's about security, and that's about WordPress design. And then if you have a particular topic that happens to relate under the category of WordPress design, then you offer the WordPress design PDF or whatever your maybe it was a video, right, on how to do WordPress or something. Like it could be anything, but it's specific to that topic. So that's all that really means, and it works out really, really well. And again, start with one. If you're not sure, start with one. Finally, when it comes to the ask, like how do you get people to your pages, right? If you're not getting a lot of traffic, you use paid media. Like you can share them on Facebook. Don't get me wrong. I'm assuming most of you are already doing that. So you're going to share it on Facebook and you're going to share it on LinkedIn and wherever else your tribe is, right, to kind of help spread the word. But get very quickly into paid media, because that's how you can make some magic happen fast and get some data fast. And the data will tell you what steps to take next. Without the data, without the traffic, you won't know. So use paid media, jump on Facebook, learn the ad manager, throw up some Facebook ads or LinkedIn or Twitter, you know, AdWords, whatever it is that you're trying to do, send them to that particular blog post and get people to opt in. See how much it costs you per lead. If you can get a lead down to maybe, you know, $5 per lead, and you've got a pretty good product that you can monetize, so be it, right? You can also build this through webinars. I actually didn't put a slide for that, but that could also be an offer, right? A webinar. And so webinars, if you can get somebody that's a $5 per lead and you sell a $2,000 product in that webinar, that could easily be profitable, So something like that, right? Paid media, perfect paid media opportunity. So that's about the ask. Now let's talk about some of these potentially sneaky tricks. I like the sneaky trick thing because it's like, ooh, sneaky, but it's not really that sneaky, right? This is just using something like Popup Ally. Now we use Popup Ally. I love Popup Ally. I think the marketer that is behind Popup Ally and the developer behind Popup Ally do a really, really nice job of helping people sort of explain how to use this tool. And I would just Google it, again, Popup Ally. But when you go there, in fact, I'll just do it. I'll pull up a screen here so that those of you watching on video can do that. So let's just do Popup Ally. Now we had the pro version, so I'm going to bring that up just so you can see their website. But it can be, you know, anything. You can do a little WordPress site. But what this will do, and there's sort of scrolling through the sales page here, and we'll have a link for those that are interested. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to see if they have any back pages. They don't. They do have some ideas of how the pop-up can happen, right? So it's like all these different types of opt-ins. You have the sidebar, you've got the traditional pop-up, you've got it below the blog, you've got fixed bars floating in bottom. You've got mini survey questions. You can do it when a certain trigger point of a scroll, like if they scroll halfway down the blog, then pop up. So you can do all sorts of things, right? That come through, all sorts of different designs. And it's very specific, which I kind of like. Like you can have a certain pop up on certain types of blog posts so that, again, you can kind of do these blog specific offers. That's why I like Popup Ally. They're also a thing I like a lot about this particular developer is that they are all about, they're a marketer too, but they're all about, it's not so much the pop-up, it's how you trigger the pop-up that matters, right? So they're very much into that. So you can see Popup Ally Pro is about $100. So developer's license, $300 if you work with a lot of clients. But I would totally look at this one because it does a really, really nice job. And two-step opt-ins, it does all that where you make an image and maybe it's a button that says, you know, click here to get our free guide, and it pops up into a pop-up. You can do text links, you can do all sorts of stuff. So it is absolutely worth checking out. The other little trick that we use here is list eruption. Actually, this is a new tool that we came across. We have not used this yet, but we are in the process of building out with it, and I'm looking forward to results because I know a couple of people who have used this and they've gotten really good results. So it's called list eruption, and let me pull that one up here. So the way this works, and again, I'm just going to pull up their sales page, list eruption. Let's see. Okay, so there's list eruption. We're going to stop the video from playing. What it basically will do, and the videos are best because they can actually show you what's happening here, but basically it's like almost like a share gate. So they come to your landing page, they log in, they get your free, or they opt in and they get your free content, right? So whatever the PDF is. Then they get to this next page that says, hey, listen, if you send us, share this out on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or whatever. And then you would actually, when you share it out, they have a little referral link. When that referral, right? So when somebody else they send out, they, let's say, and you can see the example here, it talks about 5 referrals, 10 referrals, 25 referrals. You can set all of this up. Each of these different levels unlocks a new piece. So maybe you start with an introductory video to whatever, and then to unlock the other 2 videos, you get this. And then there's a complete module where you get this, right? And you could actually send out referrals. If you get people to refer in email addresses, then again, this is the viral component. They're out there sharing, people are coming back and they're putting in different emails and they're getting points, and then they unlock all of this stuff. That's what List Eruption does. So it's a cool little plugin. It's a great idea. Totally looking forward to trying it myself. I'm not quite sure how. The only thing I would watch out for, and what we're actually planning to watch out for, is the fake email stuff, right? So when people are like, oh, well, yes, I got an email, but it's fake. So we want to take a look at that and to see how our deliverability is and all of that. But not everybody does that. Marketers do, sadly. So, but it's something to consider for sure. I was going to scroll down so if I see anything else. You can set up campaigns. Yeah, this is worth you going through and looking at for sure. But really nice interface. Just came through a recent new upgrade, so it's been around for a little while. Worth checking out. List Eruption. So we'll leave it there for now. All right. So moving on. If you want a bigger list, provide value. Tell people about it. That's pretty much it. It's not that hard. If you have something of value, provide it. Put it out there. Put an email between you and that product, right? So somebody comes to a blog post, they want that MP3 of the blog post, have them opt in for it, give them an email, they get an MP3, it's an awesome deal. Just make sure you tell them about it. So post it on Facebook if that's what you're doing, do paid media, do AdWords traffic, and retarget. So make sure you've got retargeting pixels set up so when somebody comes back to your blog and they see your blog, but they have not yet seen the thank you page for your opt-in, that you retarget those people and say, hey, you can get this MP3 opt-in or MP3 of the blog or this 10-step checklist to securing a website or whatever that offer is, right? You can bring them back and bring them specifically to opt in for that and still build your list off of people who already maybe saw your blog but did not actually subscribe. So that's huge, and it doesn't cost you a lot of money because you're retargeting, right? You're focused on a very, very small group of people. You're not hitting millions of people. So even though you might be paying, $100 per 1,000 people, you're not seeing 1,000 people, right? You might be seeing a couple hundred on this retargeting, depending upon your traffic. So definitely worth checking out. So what was your one idea from this whole thing? Was it maybe why to start list building? Okay, like maybe you even thought about it. Obviously with list building, with email marketing, that stuff's not dead. Email marketing is gonna be around for a long, long time. It's the most personal connection you have to somebody. It's the most intimate conversation point you're gonna have because it's just you and them, right? So this is obviously part of the reason you want to list build. You can build relationships and obviously sell products and all that fun stuff. Was it some of the tools you can use, the Popup Ally, maybe List Eruption plugin, maybe even Infusionsoft? Was it some of these sneaky viral tricks, right? So like using something like List Eruption or plugin like it that helps you to unlock additional content when people refer back people to you, and specifically the retargeting. So take advantage of that retargeting because that can be an amazing, amazing thing. Either way, whatever you start with, if you just got just one idea, that's what we're looking for here. Take action on that one idea today. Start doing something on that, and then come back, watch us a little bit later on. It'll give you some additional information and get some other ideas, and then go from there. That's how it works. All right. With that, we're going to bring it to a close. Again, if you're not watching this live and you want to, or if you want to be able to ask questions, even if you can't join us live each week, it's not a problem. Just go to SeriouslySimpleMarketing.com. You'll see plenty of opt-ins to join that, and we will look forward to seeing you on a future live cast. This has been episode number 44 of Digital Marketing This Week, a marketer's guide to list building. We'll talk to y'all next week.